Hello, everyone. It's Jason Elster, president of Downtown Madison, Inc., and welcome to the April Advocacy Update. We are excited to have a good friend of the Downtown Airport Director, Kim Jones, director of the Dane County Regional Airport, with us to talk all things airport, a massively important facility for the economic strength and vibrancy of our community. Before we get to our friend Kim, I want to make sure you know what we're doing here. The Advocacy Update is an update for our members about what's happening in the DMI world and the downtown world when it comes to advocacy. I'm Jason Elster, president of Downtown Madison, Inc., and I'll be leading you today, but we wouldn't be here without our sponsors. Our major series sponsor of our Advocacy Update series is Scenair. We're going to hear from Chris Gillings in just a few minutes here, but aside from Scenair, we've got our good friends at Fiore Company and Hush Blackwell. Again, thank you so much to Scenair, Fiore, and Hush Blackwell for your sponsorship of the Advocacy Update series. A lot happening in the downtown world. The sun is back and people are coming back downtown. A couple of major items that are happening in the downtown on the advocacy world. The first is the city's and State Street experiment. The city is closing the 400 through 600 blocks of State Street later this year as busing was removed last year. They're running an experiment for several days this summer, really all summer long, to invite folks to check out what a closed street could look like at certain times of the day. They're going to be running this on weeknights and on weekends, and the project began in earnest last weekend with 600 of our fellow friends went to paint State Street and give it some life. There will be not too many more infrastructure changes to State Street, but it's going to allow us this summer to really understand what people want in a future street on State Street. This is going to be coupled with the city and Downtown Madison, Inc.'s strategic visioning plan, which we're going to start here pretty soon to really help inform what the future of State Street could look like. So come on down this summer, participate. The street is literally yours. So we're very excited for all of the possibilities of this. I want to say a huge thanks to Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway, Alders Verveer, Governor Rajan Bennett, all of those folks that have been working very hard on the State Street experiment. We also want to thank our sister organization, Matt Trammell, Tim Janklin, and the team at Madison Central Business Improvement District for all their help in programming and making sure people are going to have fun at the bottom of State Street this year. Another item, a little bit more federal nature, national federal nature, is I was able to participate in the International Downtown Association's Capital Fly-In 2 weeks ago. I chair the U.S. Government Relations Committee for the International Downtown Association. I should say I co-chair it. I don't want to shortchange my friend Zach Matheny from Greensboro, North Carolina, but we had a wonderful conference on issues that are impacting downtowns nationwide and how the federal government could help. And we lobbied on 4 main areas. And I met with Representative Mark Pocan himself and the staff for Senator Tammy Baldwin and Senator Ron Johnson. We brought up 3 main topics. The first topic is office conversions and potential tax credits to help turn offices that may no longer be offices, as we're certainly seeing a change in the office market, and potentially changing that into housing, and in particular, affordable housing. Those projects are hard to do and expensive to do, and without some sort of subsidization, it'll be quite difficult. But the federal government is very interested. Senator Debbie Stabenow and Representative Mike Carey from Ohio are very interested in creating the legislation now, and IDA is very supportive, and we got lots of good feedback from our elected federal representatives in Washington, D.C. We also advocated for a project that is close to home here in Madison. It's Burn Criminal Justice Initiative grants, which are grants given to the states and the states give out to help with local community justice issues. And one of those grants was given to Downtown Madison through a DMI, the Community Development Division, the Public Health Division, MPD, and UW Population Health in the neighborhoods. And it's called the Isthmus Safety Initiative, which is something we've gone over here significantly. A group of citizen advisors helped define the Isthmus Safety Initiative in helping ensure that we lessen both violent crime by gun and sexual assault here in the downtown. This has been happening for 3 years with a $1 million grant, and the work is just starting now. So we're very thankful for all the federal elected officials who have helped put money into the Burn Criminal Justice Grant Initiative. The last is more funding for people experiencing homelessness at the federal level, again, to pass through that money to local organizations like our friends at the Beacon or Porchlight or Friends of State Street Family or Catalyst for Change, you name it. It's to get more funding in the hands of the local governments to help people experiencing homelessness. The last item we went over with all three federal elected officials, we gave an update on all things downtown Madison, answered their questions about what's happening in downtown and what they could see in downtown Madison, but also downtowns throughout the entire state. As one of the board members of the Wisconsin Downtown Action Council, I was able to speak to some other downtowns, not just downtown Madison, in the state. So lots of advocacy activity happening here, and we're excited to be able to represent downtown Madison proudly in our nation's capital. That is our final update here. Before we get to our good friend Chris, we're getting to our good friend Chris. Before we get to our good friend Kim, we've got Chris Chillings, who, ironically enough, is sitting in an airport parking lot right now. Is that true, Chris?
That is absolutely true, Jason.
But not the Dane County Regional Airport.
It's not the Dane County Regional Airport, unfortunately.
We will not hold that against you, but you are supporting local air, which is the only thing that's important. How are you doing today, Chris? How's everything here?
Yeah, most importantly, supporting parts of the state and trying to make sure that I'm keeping travel schedules for some of the work we're doing up north good for some of my colleagues. But no, it's a very clear and it is a very timely reminder of just how interconnected society is and how much we depend on transportation linkages. We can't accomplish the work that we do here in Wisconsin, the work that we do in Madison, the work that we do anywhere without a talented host of colleagues from around the country. And that means that because we're in the real estate business, especially in housing, you got to get to the sites and you got to see the communities, and you can't build community unless you're on the ground and in person. And it's linkages, and we're so grateful for the tremendous resource that is the Dane County Regional Airport in Madison, but also to have those facilities available to us wherever we're doing work throughout the state. It really lets us serve our mission better, and I'm excited to hear more from Kim about some of the new developments and a lot of the growth. I was just through some of the terminal expansion a couple of weeks ago, and it's really exciting to see that expansion be needed and utilized, because it just means that we're seeing growth in Madison and more people wanting to come and experience our community.
Well, Chris, as always, you set us up for success. Chris Chillings, a Senior Vice President of Business Development for Scenair, thank you for your partnership. But I want to play off, before we get to our friend Airport Director Kim Jones, the importance of airports, particularly to the downtown. As Chris mentioned, it's all about connectivity. Dozens of destinations and dozens of flights going out every single day, so that our businesses and our leisure traveler, everyone, can get out where they need to go and make those connections. So we're very thankful. I'm just going to give a big asterisk to this entire conversation because I'm a bit of a homer when it comes to the Dane County Regional Airport. I am so thankful for the team at Kim Jones and the team at the airport that I am the chair of the Dane County Regional Airport Commission. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. I love the Dane County Regional Airport. And I'm so thankful for Airport Director Kim Jones for joining us today. I'll give you one more asterisk, though. To make sure safety and security is happening at all times at the Dane County Regional Airport, they run planned fire alarms. It just happens that one of those fire alarms is happening right now. It is planned just to test the system. So you will see the lights and you may hear some things going on as Kim is talking. So just want to warn everyone, it's a planned fire drill. No one is in danger. Just want to make sure. Kim, how are you doing today? You doing well?
Thank you so much for having me here today. I am doing great. And my sincerest apologies. This fire alarm test was actually scheduled a different day and they had to reschedule, and here we are today. So my apologies for any background noise, but Chris, it's great to have you here with us today, and thank you for sponsoring or co-sponsoring this great opportunity to talk about the airport. Thank you so much. So,
Well, Kim, as the airport director, we're really excited to dig in about what's the health of the airport and how's it moving forward and what does the future hold. So the first question I think a lot of people ask, the pandemic changed a lot about travel. How has travel recovered since the pandemic at the Dane County Regional Airport?
so it has been a really tough time for us. A lot of airports recovered much quicker than we did. And we really had hoped to be right in that group that's kind of leading the pack, but that didn't happen. And the reason for that is the focus on business travel diminished almost completely during the pandemic. But people felt the need to get away. So leisure travel started to rebound. And you may have heard the term leisure-led recovery. And that is exactly what we had throughout the country. So destinations that were in Florida, Texas, the Southwest, areas where people would go on vacations, recovered much more quickly. They saw record-breaking growth during the middle of the pandemic while the rest of us were struggling to keep up. And prior to the pandemic, 60% of our passengers were business travelers. And that, I believe, we don't have good statistics on that today, but I believe it's switched and flipped. It's probably about 60% leisure traveler at this time. But we are seeing the business travelers come back, led by some of our key business partners and community partners. So we're real excited. We're seeing growth at the airlines again. We've had some flights that have been added. Pilots shortage is something that you may have heard about in the news and different things. That is really restricting growth as well. There's a definite shortage of pilots, and we're experiencing that at smaller airports because the airlines are focusing on the flights where their bang for the buck, so to speak, is the greatest, and that isn't always the smaller airport. Now, that's better than it was before. A lot of the airlines have created their own schools for training pilots, and so we are seeing more pilots and a reduction in that shortage in that issue. Also, there's been a reluctance nationally for first officers to upgrade to captains on aircraft. And that's created a bottleneck in the personnel movement that leads to a shortage of qualified captains. While you may have pilots, you need the captains to actually fly the planes. And then there's been some challenges, obviously, in the news. You've heard about some of the Boeing airline aircraft and the issues that they've had with safety. I think everybody heard about the Southwest flight where the door exploded in Alaska, and different things, have had some issues. So given that, it has also restricted the airline's ability to grow because of a shortage of equipment that they know is safe and appropriate to use on different routes. There were also some issues with some of the Airbus engines. So unfortunately, there have been a lot of challenges to our growth and recovery. However, given that, I would say that this year we will hit and perhaps exceed where we were in 2019. 2019 was our record-breaking year. And at the start of 2020, we were actually seeing double-digit growth every month up until everything shut down. And of course, then it went to nothing. So I think that eventually we're going to get back to that double-digit growth here. This is a vibrant community, and we are a great economic engine for that. And so I firmly believe that we're going to continue to see growth. So we're getting there.
First of all, I'm going to thank you again because your concentration while a fire alarm is going off is amazing. So you're the exact person I want being the director of the airport while a test crisis is happening. You're very concentrating on what you're doing. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
I'd love to go over sort of the comparison. I don't think people understand. You just mentioned it. We were in the ascendancy in 2019, early 2020, right? Double-digit growth all of the time, year over year. really, becoming we were a very popular airport. Usually what, Kim, 3,500, 4,000 people going in and out of the airport every day on average at that time. Can you tell us, what happened after the pandemic? What did those numbers go down to? I remember numbers in the low hundreds of folks that were going through the airport at any one time. How far did that number go down right in the beginning?
So it was so devastating to people in the industry. I just want to make sure that everybody really realizes what it was like to be working at the airport. And you're hearing all these stories about the pandemic, and you have to go to work. And, a lot of our community shut down, but because we're what's called a federally obligated airport, because we receive federal funds, we weren't allowed to shut down. The community could not, insist on that because we're part of the national transportation system. So here we are, we're open, we're all here, and we see our numbers start to dwindle and they go down, down, down. And you would walk out into the terminal and it was empty. And to have a facility that's that large and is empty is really quite unnerving. We got down to about the lowest day that I remember was about 61 passengers. And so it's a huge difference. But we have an amazing team here. They came in every day, they did their jobs, and whether the restrooms needed cleaned as much today as they did yesterday, it didn't matter. We inspected the runways, we kept everything going exactly the same as if we'd been serving 5,000 people. So I'm really proud of the team, and I think it's important that everybody know, just what actually happened and how low those numbers actually got.
Well, and to be on the front line, right? I mean, we're certainly in the middle of a global pandemic, and for the staff to continue to work hard to ensure that we still had the capability as citizenry to be able to get out and about and be part of that transportation network. So thank you to you, your team, and everyone there. One of the opportunities I will say that happened during the pandemic, I don't want to use opportunity, obviously it was a devastating pandemic, but there was an opportunity to make some changes at the airport. And you were able to make two very substantial changes. I think first you expanded the gates out by sort of 8, 9, and 10 and added a larger seating area, but then much more dramatically, the new wing of the airport, which was recently is it almost fully opened? It's like 99% of the way there. A gorgeous new addition with a net 3 more gates. Kim, tell us why you made the decision to do that work during that time, and how important is this new expansion for the future of Dane County Regional Airport?
Well, I am really excited about the growth that we have here. And during the pandemic, it was a tough decision. That was a huge financial undertaking. It added 90,000 square feet to this terminal, which was the largest single expansion of the airport in its 85-year history. So that was huge. And to be committing those types of funds at a time when people had no idea where the future was going to be was a big decision. A lot of airports chose not to do that. But I have a firm belief in our community and our citizens here, and I believed that people would come back, and that it presented, rather than a problem, it presented an opportunity for us to do this during a time when the least number of people would be impacted. And it was very exciting to be planning something like this during that time. It was challenging. You couldn't have certain types of meetings and things like that, and trying to design and plan for that was really quite interesting during that time. And it gave us an opportunity to really slow down also and look at the situation. What do we want in our new terminal? What do we want in that expansion? Because there are so many evolving community needs out there, and we want to be on the cutting edge of that and giving the most back to our community that we can. We want to be good partners and provide accessibility to our airport for all persons, regardless of any issues that they have. So whether that's a family traveling with children or persons with additional needs and challenges, we want to be able to provide that. So our new expansion added 6 gates, as you said, which was a net of 3 because the old section was taken off. one of the things that the design did was created new parking opportunities for aircraft. So the old design constrained the size of the aircraft that could be at each of those gates, which again limited things. There's a term in our industry called gate constrained, which means that the new incoming flights were limited by the number of gates or the size of the gates. All of the airlines want to have planes at the gate in the morning for the early launch so that people can get out of here and get to the larger airports where they have what they call banks of flights. And they want to connect to those banks of flights to be able to get to their other final destinations timely. And one of the things that I'm really excited and proud about our airport is that we have almost one stop to anywhere in the world. There's always going to be a few minor exceptions to that. But we're very proud of that because so many smaller communities do not have that access, and we really do. So adding the gates allowed us to accept larger aircraft and to have more planes on the gates ready to launch in the morning. So that was a key part of this. Along with the new gates, we added a whole bunch of amenities that I'm really excited about. We have what we call a SARA area, which is a service animal relief area. And we have people that just love to go in and look at it because it's cool. There's water fountains that you and your pet can both drink out of at the same time. We have a nice little turf grass area with its own little fire hydrant for the animals. And we have showers for the turf then to make sure that it remains clean. And that is somewhat isolated away from the terminal main hallways. We also have rooms for companion restrooms that include adult changing table. We have a children's restroom with toddler-sized stools and sinks. We have a mother's area. We have a family area with an interactive computer game, if you will, projecting onto the wall. And we have some chairs and furniture in there that are bright and colorful and circular and movable and padded extra. And I frequently go down there and see kids climbing all over those and just having a good time. And a couple of times I've caught a few adults playing the game and different things, you know. So I'm so excited and proud of that. And then we have 2 architectural art features that are absolutely amazing. For anybody who hasn't been here, you know, let me know and I can get you out here for a tour and let you see these beautiful additions to the airport. We have a chain of lakes tile floor exhibit that is made to scale. It includes a couple of my runways and the team here's runways. And we also have designations for the state capitol and for the Badger Stadium. So it's beautiful. The other one I'm going to tell you is gorgeous. And we are having a press conference. I'll put in a little plug here Monday on the 29th to officially reveal that. It has already been revealed. If you've flown out of here, we've opened that section, but there will be an event then with County Executive Joe Parisi, who has been extremely supportive throughout this process as well, and all of the changes that we've made here at the airport. So I'm very excited for people to come and see that as well. It's beautiful. Our concessions, our restaurants and our gift shops have really stepped up to the plate as well. You know, during the pandemic, we had some planned expansion at the north end of the terminal where we had expanded out some of the hold rooms or seating areas waiting for planes. But the restaurants and gift shops had not actually happened during that time because of unfortunate financial dynamics during the pandemic. So as we're catching up, the restaurant and gift shop at the north end opened now, and the south end we have the bar open, the bar and grill type area, but we don't have the full seated restaurant or gift shops open. They will be. But at the north end of the terminal, we have a wonderful new restaurant called Look Mom No Hands. It's bicycle themed. It's great. You order at the counter and they'll deliver it to your table. I've heard nothing but good things about the food. I've tried a couple things and will tell you they are very, very good. And our existing concessions have also, really stepped up and kept everything going. The gift shop that we have, is really nice. It's called Capitol Commons, and they're very creative. We had a beam that was in the way when the development of that was occurring, and we couldn't move it. So they figured out, well, what can we do with that? They turned it into a cheese wedge. So creative, so amazing. There are so many things. If you haven't been out to your local airport, please let me know. Come on out and see what a gem and a treasure this community has with our airport. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate about it, a little bit excited about it.
That's why we love Kim Jones, because we're passionate for the airport. But I will say this. Yes, you can take Kim up on her tour, but I got a better idea. Book a flight through Dane County Regional Airport. And then you can spend as long as you want there. Not too long, don't miss your flight, but you can check it out there. One note I think is important. All of this expansion you talk about certainly is expensive, but I think it's important to know that the airport is an enterprise, right? And no direct Dane County property tax funding goes into any of this work. It's a self-funded institution, including the expansion. Most of their revenue comes from gate fees and parking revenue. So please do park as well. That's also very helpful. But I just want you to know that they should be so proud of the work that they do without Dane County property tax money going into the airport. So thank you to Kim. All right. Speaking of flights, we just advocated everyone should book a flight. One of the top questions, I don't think a day goes by, people don't ask me what's going on with potential new direct service out of the airport. We've seen certainly an expansion with Breeze Airlines coming in a few weeks ago, some other new directs that have come in, some additional service to airports like the New York area and the Washington, D.C. area. But Kim, where are we with potential new flights? Obviously, we've lost significant flights pre-pandemic, San Francisco, LA, a few other cities that people always remark on. Where are we with the expanded flight service, and what are we doing to actually attract new direct flights in and out of the airport?
Okay, so before the pandemic, we had 23 nonstop flights, including the seasonal flights. That was our high number.
23 destinations, right? We had way more than 23 per day.
Thank you for correcting that. That is true. 23 destinations, and some had multiple flights to those. So we actually had more than that in terms of daily flights. And we were on target to get more. But of course, things changed. We have struggled. We went down to a low of 12, which was still pretty amazing to be able to keep that many nonstop destinations during the pandemic. And kudos to our airline partners for doing that for us. We currently have 17 nonstop destinations, and the newest ones were Tampa and LAX on the new carrier that we have here, Breeze Airways. There also is going to be a limited opportunity for flights to Boston, May 30th through June 14th, which is kind of a test time period. So, but most importantly is where we're going in the future. And we have hired a full-time air service development director as of last year, and he's been diligently working to get meetings with the airlines. Pre-pandemic, we could pretty much walk into any airline headquarters, schedule a meeting and walk into it. During the pandemic, they canceled all of those, and they're slowly bringing those back, but we're very fortunate that we have such a good solid base here of passengers and the community support that we're able to get some of those meetings scheduled again. One of the things that we did was create a partnership. Jason with Downtown Madison, Inc., Zach Brandon with the Chamber of Commerce, and Ellie Westman Chin with Destination Madison have partnered with us, along with occasionally one of our local business partners, to go out and visit these airlines and encourage them to bring that service back to us. And we've gone to new airlines. We went and visited Alaska Airlines, hopeful to get some Seattle nonstop services. We have event called Jumpstart, which is like speed dating with airlines. We have, I believe, 7 or 8 airlines that we're going to be meeting with. You get like 20 minutes each with them. And the air service director and I go to that. We're really excited about that. And then we're working to get additional meetings. So I think that the community involvement is really helpful for us, and that we have representatives from local groups that can really bring the community story to the airlines. And that was really what helped sell. Any airport can go in there with statistics, but the airlines already know that about us. We're not telling them anything they don't know when we do that. But when we bring our partners in and they get that whole community story, they learn a whole new aspect to what their service could mean for us. And in the end, you know, it's always going to come down to use it or lose it. If we get the service, the community has to use it, or we could potentially lose it.
That's exactly right. If you want one piece of feedback about how you can ensure we have more direct service and cheaper costs, it's to use our airport more. That's the best thing you can do. You can do your talking with your feet when you go to the Dane County Regional Airport. But I gotta say, Kim, thank you. I'm so proud of the partnership that Destination Madison, the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce, MadRep, and DMI have with some of our corporate partners as well to help with this new effort, and the addition of Tom Pager as helping lead this effort. It really is great to see the community getting behind, going on these trips. I went to Seattle. Ellie went to Minneapolis for Sun Country. Zach went to Chicago for United, and we've got many more flights coming. We're helping with the presentation because we, as you pointed out, they know the data. They know where we're going, how we're traveling. But the 3 of us can tell the future of where Madison's going. And I just remember specifically a conversation with Alaska Airlines about the importance of Microsoft and Epic. And that was sort of news to them and how important that could be in the future. So we hope that means or portends to new future flights. All right. Last question for you today is, why is the Dane County Regional Airport so important to the economic strength and vitality of our community?
You know, that is an excellent question, Jason. The airports create challenges at times for the communities with noise and commotion and parking and traffic, but to draw in the businesses that provide employment and benefits and opportunities to the citizens of our community, so many of those businesses need good access to solid air transportation. And if you have that, you will help drive the economic development of your community. Not only do the businesses need it, they want it for their families and their employees and the families of those employees who want to travel. Tourism is a huge revenue source for any community. And how do you get people to your community? Sure, there's a driving factor, but a lot of them fly. We have a lot of people who fly in here and go to our information desk and say, okay, now how do I get a ride to the Dells, or how do I get so-and-so? So we're the kind of the core of that. So we're a transportation hub that's vital for the region. We connect Madison to nearly all domestic and major international stops with one stop or less. It really helps out. We have business development, access to the markets and clients across the country and around the world. And as I said, easy air connectivity is a huge factor. The job creation itself, the businesses that bring in these employment opportunities, and their airline staff. There's a lot of hotels I know that have relationships with the airlines for the airline staff to be there, and that brings more local business in for restaurants and other hospitality sources. Just the tourism and hospitality aspect of it is huge. Cargo operations, a lot of people don't think about that because we're not a huge cargo destination like some airports. However, we do have FedEx here, and they're increasing their activity on a regular basis almost During the pandemic, that was a huge time for all cargo carriers, and this was no exception. So we've seen their presence here grow as well. And then also some of the real estate development. A lot of people don't know that the airport actually owns over 3,500 acres. And that includes land that we lease to MG&E for a solar field. We have different tenants along International Lane. Bridges Golf Course is one of our tenants, a beautiful facility there. So we have lots of business development right here on the airport property as well. So many
see,
benefits to it.
Well, yeah, right, and the airport serves so many different communities, right? Not just the commercial airlines, but obviously you talked about cargo, but you have the F-35 fighter wing, you have the helicopter unit, you have Wisconsin Aviation for the private aircraft. So it really is a transportation hub for the area. Kim Jones, I gotta say, I'm just the biggest Kim Jones fan. I'm so honored to serve as the chair of the Dane County Regional Airport Commission because I get to work every day with Kim's passion for the airport. We are lucky to have Kim in our community leading our airport, and I have no doubt that we're going to see so much more growth, expansion, new direct service, all of it because of your leadership. So thank you, Kim, for what you do. This matters. You just talked about tourism. Just in downtown alone, tourism has a $300 million impact just in the downtown. It's about almost a $1.5 billion impact across our entire region. A lot of that is thanks to Kim and the team at the airport. You have an excellent world-class team at the airport. So thank you for what you do, Kim, in our community. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks to my world-class team, as you said. It's a world-class facility for a world-class team.
Exactly.
Team, so.
Kim, thank you for joining us
community.
today. Yeah, well said. Well said. Not just the downtown, but the entire community.
Yes.
Thank you, Kim Jones, for joining us today for our April advocacy update. And thank you to our partners at Sinair, Hush Blackwell, and the Fiore companies. We'll see you next month, if not before, in downtown with shopping bags and full bellies. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for your support of DMI in downtown.